From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, plenty of clouds, nice cool temperatures today. We'll eventually see a little sun tomorrow and this weekend, warming up with more sunshine for sure. All the while, a tropical or subtropical system developing in the Gulf of Mexico heads for our friends in the northeastern Gulf, not impacting our area locally, with the exception of maybe tides coming up a little bit later on tonight through tomorrow morning. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. So let's take a look at the radar satellite composite. You can see those clouds locked in across the area. Some light sprinkles showing up on the radars, a lot of this virga, and if you look closely on the wind particles down here, that's where our frontal boundaries become nearly stationary and where we expect one area of low pressure to develop on top of another one that's trying to develop in the southern Gulf. So we might see a few of these showers poking into southern Louisiana tonight through tomorrow morning, but we're not looking at big rain chances by any stretch of the imagination. Meanwhile, as we mentioned, we have this upper level low in Texas. That's kind of hooking up to that frontal boundary that's out in the Gulf. Meanwhile, a little bit of a tropical system trying to get going here, and you can see this on the wind particles. Broad area of low pressure down here, but even a bigger picture, broad low pressure troughing across the entire west central Gulf of Mexico. So a very difficult forecast for the National Hurricane Center, but they had to identify a potential tropical system right now because we're going to see tropical storm conditions down the road along most likely the Florida Panhandle with time. So here's the forecast. Eventually getting a named either subtropical storm Nestor or tropical storm Nestor. We talked a little bit why it's going to be more of a hybrid system at 5 o'clock. Tropical storm warnings, though, from extreme southeastern Louisiana through the Florida Panhandle, with tropical storm watches across the inland areas. They may go to warnings later on tonight. Here's the radius of tropical storm force winds of 39 to 57 mile per hour winds, just touching southeast Louisiana, but we could see gusts up to 50 to 60. These are sustained winds, and that main wind swath impacts mainly the Florida Panhandle and mainly lopsided east of that center of circulation as it moves inland. So that's where the main weather features are going to be. The storm surge highest in the Florida Big Bend, up to 3 to 5 feet, and then closer to home with an easterly wind, tides coming up 2 to 3 feet, especially down toward just south and east of Boothville, and that's going to be a temporary thing. And then even the tides coming up, I think, along our coastline. We have no coastal flood advisories going at this point, but I think tides do come up 1 to 2 feet, mainly early tomorrow morning, and then we'll drop back down to normal as northerly winds behind that system really take over and help push that water back out into the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the European model showing you, again, southeastern Louisiana could get clipped with some of the heavier rainfall, but it's mainly earmarked mainly along and east of the center of circulation. This has landfall pre-dawn hours Saturday, pretty much in line with the National Hurricane Center forecast, and then that continues to move inland. Going into the weekend for us, nice and warm Sunday, maybe an isolated shower at 10%, but here comes a strong cold front and more than likely the risk of severe weather storms that could produce damaging winds, and then drier, cooler air moving in thereafter. So as we look at the rainfall, the heaviest rains well to the east of us, 3 to 5, possibly more. The system moving along, so the rain totals don't appear that high, and then you add that frontal boundary. We'll probably catch a couple of inches of rain with that front as we head into Monday. Here's the wind forecast, the European model, and again, some gusts showing 45 up to 60 in some of the storms through tomorrow morning, and then that mess moves off to the north and east. These are sustained winds. Then you have the gusts with the G right here, and you can see probably a 40 to 50 mile an hour storm at the very least, and then that's advancing inland as we go into the latter part of Saturday. So here's the NAM model. I think it's overdoing it on the light rainfall, but a few sprinkles through tomorrow morning, and you can see our tropical storm or subtropical storm shows up very nicely on this model, and it deepens it close to a very strong tropical storm over toward Mobile and the Florida Panhandle. So we'll watch that closely. Meanwhile, our weather is going to be absolutely nice. So tomorrow morning, some clouds, then mostly sunny skies as we head into Saturday, warming up Sunday under partly cloudy conditions, and there comes that front on Monday with that severe weather risk. Another chill down for a couple of days, and then even stronger front next Friday that brings us down into the upper 40s for perhaps next weekend for morning lows. So almost getting in the zone where you might need the heater.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't get too carried away.
One step at a time, sir.
And there's probably going to be another one behind that. I'm forecasting a chilly Halloween at this point.
All right,
Chilly
thanks,
Halloween.
Rob.